first of all, for your interest in objective assessment of interregional development and dynamic. It was very interesting. Thank you very much. Next, I would give the floor to our colleague, my friend. He is deputy of our ambassador of the Republic of Uzbekistan to India, Iqbaljan Saliyev. Please, floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, or what time is it now? It's getting good evening almost. Namaste, namaskar. Look at my speech today. There's just few items. And I'm getting very nervous, dear colleagues, dear Excellence Ambassador Abdulsamad Haidarov, dear Professor Lalit Agarwal, dear Professor Ramakant Vivedi, colleagues, Ambassador Vidya Sharma. We have got very wonderful colleagues in here. It's an ocean of knowledge. I'm getting nervous and excited because I will speak about the practices that we are right now implementing in terms of the further extending the Uzbekistan-India strategic relationships and the partnerships on all fronts, whether it's going to be diplomacy, whether it's going to be trade, economics, whether it's going to be exports, investments, whether it's going to be establishing the joint ventures. But I'm not going further in-depth speaking about because I don't want to take up much of your time, because I'm very excited to join your colleagues, academia, and the professors and the teaching faculty. And I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to Professor Ramakant Vivedi, to Professor Lalit Agarwal for inviting the Uzbekistan Embassy. And this morning we have been represented by His Excellency Mr. Sardar Rustambayev, Ambassador of Uzbekistan to India. Now, when we were on our way with my colleague, Mr. Sadruddin, he never told me that I'm taking this microphone and I'm going to be speaking. And when we were having a cup of tea, he told me that you are one of the speakers, Mr. Kampande. And I just sat back and said, here are the several items that I'm going to be concentrating in my little speech. I'm taking this fine opportunity as well I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to the faculty and the students of the Management Education Research Institute. They have been very helpful today for us, the diplomats and all the academia, to feel they're comfortable. And I'm enjoying to see how the distinguished academia, Professor Agarwal, Ramakant Dwivedi, are enjoying their cozy sofa now after a long day. And they have done everything to organize this event as comfortable as possible. And thank you so much. You know, when I sit back in my office at the embassy, Chanakapuri, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan Mark, I always look at the map of India in my office. What a huge country. What a wonderful country. And I'm just spotting myself in the Delhi, just a little spot, and what a huge country it is. India, it's 1.5 billion, and the population has already overcome its big neighbor, China. $4 trillion US of the GDP, fifth economy in the world. And under his wise leadership of Narendra Modi ji, India is going to be in 2030, if I'm not lying, inshallah, is the third economy of the world. Why not? India has got every potential for that. I have been with the leadership of Uzbekistan for nearly 20 years, and I have sat in many negotiations and the talks when our first late president, Mr. Islam Karimov, and now the president, distinguished His Excellency Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, has led the negotiations with the first Dr. Manmohan Singh, and later on, several times, Narendra Modi ji. And the last one has been told by today's our ambassador. It has taken place November 23 in Kazan, Russian Federation. I'm not going to retell you what was discussed at that meeting, but it was a very wonderful meeting in terms of the pinpointing, in terms of the identifying what was done between Uzbekistan and India, what needs to be done further in order to further extend the relationships and the partnerships between Uzbekistan and the great country of India. Right now, we cannot boast of the huge numbers for the bilateral trade because of the fact that the academia, distinguished academia, has already told us about the huge difficulties in terms of the connectivity. Professor Sanjay Kumar Pandey has already underscored that Uzbekistan is one of the two landlocked nations in the world. One is Luxembourg in Europe, and Uzbekistan is the second. What does that mean? It means that we need to cross two countries in order to get to the ocean or the sea. At the same time, we have been doing a lot of efforts in terms of making this possible, a lot of efforts in terms of the connectivity between the two countries. As Ambassador Gita Sharma has told us that he has served as a good ambassador of India in Uzbekistan, just not more than 2.5 hours in the air flight between Delhi and Tashkent. Why cannot we move our goods and products from India to Uzbekistan, from Uzbekistan to India, if we're just 2.5 hours distances apart to great countries? Therefore, indeed, this November late, we're going to have a trilateral meeting between the transport ministries of Uzbekistan, Iran, and India in terms of the better utilizing the possibilities and opportunities of the Chabahar seaport, because we know that under the leadership of Modi ji, there is a 10-year lease of the Chabahar seaport, and Uzbekistan is one of the countries that wants to utilize and exploit and take better advantage of these opportunities to move the goods forward between the two countries. Uzbekistan, compared to the huge nation of the country of India, is not so big. We have just 38 million population versus 1.5 billion. But at the same time, just 47,000 square kilometers of our territory, while India is a huge country which only the country is placed in the Industan Peninsula. Our relationships go far, far back when we used to interact with one another long before the Great Silk Road. It was long before the Great Silk Road. It was Great Spice Road when the caravans on board the horses, the mules, and camels moved along the products between the two countries. And this regard, I would like to say that just let us remember Al-Biruni, who wrote the great book on India. That time, there was no country whatsoever, India. He wrote the country Kitab al-Hind. Kitab al-Hind is the major source on the country of Bharat, which we respect and know very much. Kitab al-Hind is the source which was written by Al-Biruni, then who has been a scholarly scientist, then territory of Uzbekistan. Now we can disseminate, we can outsource many information from that book, as we know, the Bharat now. It's just been, for me, just a little more than 1 year since I came as a diplomat. I'm the counselor at the embassy. I oversee all the issues which pertains to humanities, people-to-people contacts, tourism, and a bit of economy. Why not? But at the same time, day by day, I am falling in love with Bharat, falling in love with India, with its traditions, and day by day, I'm feeling myself that there are a lot of interest of the connections between the two countries, between the two nations. Some people, Ambassador Sharma said that there are a lot of common words. And this morning, we have had just 5,000 common words between the Hindi and Uzbek language. Not least speaking our huge love in Uzbekistan for the Bollywood. Myself as a diplomat, I'm a huge lover of the Bollywood. All the time on the YouTube, all the time on the internet, I follow those films shot by Raj Kapoor ji. The 100th centennial anniversary is going to be celebrated in a landmark occasion this year in India. And why not? And one of the favorite songs by late his son, Mushair to Nahi. It's one of my favorite ones, and I just all the time when I hear these kind of songs, when I follow those YouTube channels, I feel that I'm the part of this country. I feel that India, Bharat, is my second home. And why not? Therefore, I do sincerely thank academia, distinguished Professor Lalit Agarwal, Professor Ramakant Vivedi, and distinguished academia, and our distinguished moderator of today's event, Professor Ambassador Abdusamad Khaidarov, for making possible for me to speak from this rosum. And I thank you, all the MERI researchers, students, for making possible this beautiful and wonderful event in this wonderful place of the Management Education Research Institute of India in New Delhi. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Mr. Iqbaljan Saleh, for your very interesting remarks, especially for your practical approaches towards bilateral relations and issues related to connectivity. Thanks for your valuable suggestions. I hope that our bilateral relations will be flourishing. Thank you very much. Next, I would like to give the floor to Professor Rakesh Kurana, advisor, MERI Group Institutions. Please, floor is yours.
Good evening, friends. I hope you're not tired because you're looking for an exciting question and answer session. Not just on this session, but perhaps you can ask questions for all the sessions of today. I have learned some things. Now, this question and answer session is going to be slightly organized differently. You can write your question and name, of course, on a slip of paper, and volunteers would, you just raise your hand, and volunteers will pick it up. I'll quickly try to see if there is a commonality in some questions. We can't ask too many of them, but I don't mind that we cover the whole conference in terms of the important questions which strike you. Now, to help you think about it, meanwhile, you put down your question and send it over. And with the permission of the chairs, I would then summarize and address them to the current panel. Now, looking at the whole thing, I go back to the title we gave, Challenges and Opportunities. And Mr. Goel, after recuperation from his illness, is with us. We are very, very happy. He's a former IFS officer. The first MERI dialogue we did, we kept the same thing, and he asked the question in the beginning, are you looking at opportunities or challenges? Because opportunities come out of meeting the challenges. Now, this is one of the things I have learned in this particular seminar, that frankly speaking, there are only opportunities in this whole area. Opportunities might be in geopolitical sense, it may be geoeconomic sense, and I learned a new word, geocultural sense, right? And there are only opportunities. Now, what are the challenges then? Well, what is the management profession? What is the diplomatic profession? What is the political profession? Is to solve those problems, right? And the problems can be solved. Now, this is very clear on part of everyone that there is no security challenges between this area and this area, plus this area. Something around it, yes, Myanmar, Afghanistan, and yes, competition with China will be there. It's an emerging part. It will be there. And when it meets the hegemon US or West, then there will be clashes there also. And we'll have to choose sides. Having said this, the trade has grown. People-to-people contacts have also grown. At least Indians are going and working at those places, including IT and so on. They are going and studying in medical colleges of Ukraine, it was earlier, Tajikistan, and Thailand, wherever you say. They are there. And the numbers are there. Now, we are very happy that, a number of about $24 billion 20 years ago, we are in ASEAN, something like $120 billion, while our target was 200 odd billion dollars. So $120 billion is a lot compared to $24 billion. But China at that time about had the same trade with ASEAN. And today they are more than $1 trillion, right? Okay. So compared to China, we are not doing well. And if we are not doing well, we have to sincerely ask the question, if security issues are not important, the geopolitical issues are not that important, right? Somebody handles it. Then this is a managerial problem. This is a problem of our FTAs. We have done so many agreements, and I don't think there is any other country which has not been able to work so many agreements. I'm not going to count them. It will take time. So this is what we learned. There are a lot of agreements with ASEAN, but very few are functional. And we got out of the RCEP also, because protectionist argument is still very strong in our country. And when I started teaching, even then I used to say about industrial policy that India is the only country where a 25-year-old company or a 50-year-old company has protection because they are considered infant industry. Infants at 50. And I think to some extent it continues. Now, if we create an infant industry environment, then obviously we say, oh, China is able to produce it cheaper. Well, that is producing cheaper with respect to the rest of the world also. But of course, there will be high-tech goods, there will be value-added goods, there will be services in which that cheapness of whatever it is, and if it was labor, that gap is reducing, the salaries are going up. So that argument is also not there anymore. Having said this, therefore, it is a managerial problem. Therefore, there are a lot of opportunities for managers to work there, in terms of improving these things. Then I learned a 3C framework, commerce, connectivity, and cultural relationships, what we want. So 3C approach should be there. We are managers, after all, we will figure out those concepts. And and so we will discuss this. Connectivity challenge, China has met. We may criticize them. Debt trap and whatever it is, but analyze all the projects. Debt trap projects are very, very few. And all our projects, unfortunately, have not worked. We can say, unfortunately, Myanmar, unfortunately, Afghanistan, unfortunately, something else. But there is one project where everybody is talking positively, and that's the Chabar project. And that is what connects us to Central Asia also, where, yes, US said they will put sanctions, but they're not, thankfully. And so that's also part of the analysis. There was an investment by a private company also, looking at the geopolitics, saying that even if the US puts a sanction, we will be able to get away with it, right? And we have got away with it so far. So, Chabar project is the one which has a very good ray of hope for improving this connectivity and not falling in the trap like TAPI and others. So now, summarizing this, well, the framework is there. Connectivity has to improve. Cultural connect has to improve. I was sharing with Professor Thagrao yesterday, when we were young, in a small city, when Soviet era was still there, before 91. Delegations used to come, cultural delegations used to come from Ukraine. A small place like Rohtak, next door. And in the open air theater we had in the town, that was all, we didn't have a closed theater. They used to perform, and then they used to make food, which we all loved, and then of course dance with everybody else. And over a period of time, in fact, such connects reduced. And if they are there, they are in large towns only. Therefore, this cultural connect has to spread. It doesn't have to remain. Today, of course, TV is available, everything else is available, and it can go. But it is a one-to-one contact is fantastic. You all get together, dance, a cultural connectivity also comes. There are other ways. So, summary is, the 3C approach should be applied. And like any other management project, we should say, have we moved from here to here? Is our closeness from here to here? Is our understanding from here to here? How many of us know Uzbek language? Dr. Deveri, yes. I don't know anybody else does. And vice versa. So let me just pick up the questions then. This is a broad summary of what we have learned. We have covered a lot of ground, but nobody has said that, our connectivity should not improve, that our culture connect should not improve, that our commerce should not improve, that there is no commerce opportunity. There are plenty of opportunities. We don't have to calculate much. Energy, uranium, ABCD, selling our cloth, selling our medicines, selling our other services, digital. No. You don't have to go into detailed analysis and employ KPMG or E&Y to figure out what the potentials are. Potentials are there. Number of people are less there, but then incomes are higher. Kazakhstan is very rich. So let me see. Question is, we have so many platforms relating to e-commerce, digital platforms, digital payment systems. So how India can collaborate with regional stakeholders to boost cross-border trade? Asked by Shivani. Now, in this case, regional, I suppose you mean by the countries, right? Countrywide, right? Shivani? Okay, anybody would like to attempt this? Mr. Vijayant is not here. He could have done it very well.
Yeah, if there is any questions related to our common issues, you may ask, please.
Sorry, sir?
Yes, sir. Myself, Shivani.
Yeah, by regional you mean across the countries, right?
Yes.
By regional, what do you mean? Regional within India or regional across?
Central and Southeast Asia.
Okay, done. Okay, next question is, how can India, Central Asia and Southeast Asia? So now at least we have started speaking this in one tone. You know, it's like ICASA, INSA or something like that. And that is because once one draws the map oneself and sees, it looks all one region in a sense, if we had better transportation. So how can India, Central Asia and Southeast Asia collaborate to overcome tariff and non-tariff barriers that hinder trade? Right? Can I just speak the other question also and we can take them together? Yeah. How can initiatives like student exchange programs, joint research projects be leveraged to build long-term partnership? I'm sure any of our professors will be able to answer it because the best two universities have these relationships in perspective of India and Central Asia. There is a Central Asia Studies Center in Srinagar University also, I think. Okay, next one is, what strategies can be put in place to build resilient trade of investment relationship that can withstand future disruptions? Asked by Deep Soni. So I think we should take that up. Let's do one thing. Let's take one question each. Or combine them. Yeah.
I think there was a question regarding if a particular student would like to pursue some research or some academic activities in Central Asia or for that example in Southeast Asia, I mean how he or she can do it. I think there are many ways to do it. I think particularly we are very lucky and privileged that we are in Delhi. We have got Jawaharlal Nehru University, we have got Delhi University, we have got Jamia Millia University, MET University, many other universities. JNU, for example, I have been a student there. We have a very robust, very vibrant School of International Studies. They do have a program, Central Asia, Southeast Asia, of wonderful reputation, wonderful teachers, research scholars. Over the years, last 30, 40 years, they have been doing splendid work. They also teach School of Languages like the Kazakh language, Uzbek language, etc. In Jamia also, where I have been teaching, they do have also all of these languages that are spoken in Central Asia. So if any student would like to do that, I think I would recommend that he or she can take some courses, either in language or in international studies or area studies, for example, and maybe combine both of them. As far as the government of India is concerned, you know, recently the government of India has done NEP 2020, new education policy. One of that is internationalization. Like Indian campuses are setting campuses abroad. We already have campuses in Abu Dhabi, in Tanzania, and we are also planning to open up in many different areas of the world, including in Central Asian republics and also Southeast Asia. And also vice versa, the other way around. Those countries coming into our country and they are already setting up campuses here. So I think that is another way where we can link up with the think tanks, with the research institutes, ICCR, Indian Council for Cultural Relations, that have India chair in contemporary studies, Indian studies in different universities. I remember when I went to Russia in Moscow, they also had also India chair teaching for 1 or 2 semesters in Tashkent, in many other places, in Uzbekistan and many other places. So I think it is quite possible for a student to do research if they would like to do it here over. they can go to JNU or Jamia or DU or any other universities in India. And also they can do some very meaningful, wonderful research in different areas of Central Asia and also Southeast Asia.
Fine, sir. Thank you. Would you like to add something, sir?
Yes,
Pardon?
maybe.
But
There was a question about connectivity, how Southeast Asia, India, and Central Asia can connect. Well, from the morning, we have heard many speakers, and generally most of the academic writings on Central Asia, they emphasize the fact that the biggest challenge between India and Central Asia is lack of direct connectivity. India was very early in taking initiative. In the year 2000, we signed one agreement, which was between Russia, Iran, and India. It was signed in September 2000 at St. Petersburg. Then it was implemented in 2002. But since then, there was not much activity, mainly because there were sanctions on Iran, and Iran was the key country in this connection. After 2014, 2015, we have seen flurry of activity on INSTC. In the morning, we heard Dr. Rajkumar Sharma talked about some of these initiatives. There were dry runs on INSTC. Then from 2016, we have this Chabahar port, which was supposed to be another way to connect to Afghanistan and Central Asia. One of the major problems with INSTC or Chabahar is that India still does not have very substantial trade with Central Asia. It's barely $2 billion. Even with Russia, till two and a half years back, it was $10 billion or so. Only in the last 2 years, we have seen a big jump. The trade is now between $60 to $65 billion. But even that is not sufficient to make Chabahar or INSTC viable. How it can become viable? It will only be if other countries, especially Southeast Asian countries, if they start using Chabahar and INSTC, Bandar Abbas, for trading with not just Russia and Central Asia, but with Europe. The problem, of course, is that they would not want to trade via Russia. That was the main direction, trajectory of INSTC. But there are other options. INSTC also branches out from Azerbaijan, Armenia. There are other routes which bypasses Russia. So unless and until these projects, Southeast Asian countries, they see them as their future in order to connect and in order to trade with the Eurasian countries. That is the only way through which these connectivity projects can become viable.
that's very good insight. Sir, would you like to add something? On the digital
No, thank you. I think, thank you very much. I hope, inshallah, we will continue this kind of conversations in this coming weeks, years, etc. But yesterday, if you remember, we exchanged views on these issues you mentioned. And today, you shared your personal information, but reflecting objective vision of India on many international issues and problems. Thank you very much. Thank you very
So
much.
then, with your permission,
Yes.
with his permission, I'll add 2 words which he taught me yesterday. And he said, we still think in geopolitical terms. Soft power, is the word power adequate in that? I mean, is it right that when you're talking of soft power, you're talking of friendship, you're talking of... And then he said, you know what Russians call it? They also call it SP, but it's called social policy. That's a social policy, which has to be fine-tuned and not generate soft power. Did I understand you right, sir?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, I give the podium back to Chairman.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much again. Thank you. Thank you. Now I would like to give the floor for concluding remarks to Shri Rajesh Mehta, SG Unit International Foundation. Please, floor is yours.
Hello, hello. Am I audible to all? I'm supposed to conclude the session, but before that, I must tell you a few experiences of mine. I have spent 3 years in Central Asia. Please remember, I spent 3 years of my life in Central Asia, and the kind of scope which Central Asia offers, no other place in the world offers. Please remember this. Central Asia offers you massive scope for education, offers you massive scope for medical services. It offers you massive scope for oil and gas. I'm just telling you practical, because when you grow up, you will also have to think of many angles in life. So I'm giving you the very practical advice. Central Asia, especially Uzbekistan, offers you excellent opportunities which you cannot imagine any other country. It is one of the best countries to associate with India. More or less, it has a lot of other scopes. It has the maximum production of fruit. It has the maximum production of dry fruits. I'm telling you the facts, which I don't know when you will come to know, but I'm giving you the hard facts. So kindly, when you grow up, please think about forming good relations with Uzbekistan. It will give you an excellent return in every field. This is one thing which I must tell you. Regarding the Southeast Asia, these countries are also coming very, very close to us, and all these countries also offer us excellent scope for business, for education, and for other fields. So kindly, I'm giving you the real advice. Please concentrate on Uzbekistan, concentrate on other Central Asian countries, as well as the South East Asian countries. I am so very grateful to Mr. I.P. Agarwal. I am so very grateful to Mr. Lalit Agarwal, and I am very grateful to Mr. Devedi, who all have put in a lot of effort to make this event a grand success. And I again wish you all young people a very great success and excellent relations between India and Central Asia. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Shri Rajesh Mehta, for your assessment, and especially for your experience you obtained in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope your cultural center, you had it those times, will be continuing. All your plans and all your dreams will be implemented, inshallah. And I hope that our bilateral relations will be only strengthening and flourishing. Thanks a lot. And using this opportunity, I would like to again express my deepest gratitude to the leadership of MERI institutions, especially to Professor Agrawal, Vice President of MERI Group institutions, to everybody in this hall, and especially those who spend a part of their lives in Central Asian countries. I mean, you, first of all, you served in Tashkent, and many other colleagues. And inshallah, we will continue our interaction, not only in Delhi, but in Tashkent, in other Central Asian republics. And we would like, Central Asian republics, we would like to see this connectivity strengthening each day. That's why I think that today's forum was very productive, was very fruitful, and personally for me it was very, not only interesting, but very teaching, because I got many new suggestions from this forum. And using this opportunity, I would like to say thanks a lot for this forum organized at the highest level. Many thanks again. Thank you very much.
सेकंड ले लेंगे एक और, एक पहले एक वहाँ पे भी जा सकते हो।